This is RadioFire.com, breaking news and entertainment right now. I go by the name of Don McKay. Thank you for joining me. Now, if you have a news story or a tip you want to send us, do it via social media at Radio on Fire at the Don McKay Show, or email yourradioonfire@gmail.com. Now, I want to talk about a police officer. Now, I've met a lot of police officers. Most of them have been actually good. Some, not so good. But the one I want to talk about right now is making a complete fool of himself. This one particular Sheriff David Clarke, 59 years old, of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. So, he's kind of a hick. All right. But he's black, though. So it's kind of weird. Now, let's give you some background on him before we talk about what's going on with him right now. He's serving his fourth full term as sheriff. So where he is, they actually elect and vote for the sheriff, right? He started his law enforcement career way back in 1978. He was walking the beat, did that whole thing for about 11 years, made detective, moved his way up, and became sheriff. So he is a registered Democrat, but he's a Democrat only because in that area it is heavy Democrat. He runs his whole campaign life, his everything. He moves like a Republican. He's on all the conservative shows, Fox News. He is heavy Donald Trump. Like, you remember Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django Unchained? That's this guy, all right? And so he's very critical of the Democrats in Milwaukee, and frequently goes to the Republican events. He's speaking out. He's usually seen on horseback with a cowboy hat on, right? He wants to be in the good old boys network, right? But I got news for you. Sheriff David Clarke, you're black. They're just looking at you as a wannabe, as a Uncle Tom. And, you may not be an uncle, but you know what I mean. All right. So, as I said, heavy support of Donald Trump, speaking at all of the Republican type of things. So, in the latest controversies that's been going on with this police brutality, police killing unarmed citizens, armed citizens, that whole thing, he's been speaking very negatively about Black Lives Matter. And what's so crazy, so many crazy things about this guy. But the one thing that I want to zoom in on is that he said there is no data to support the fact that police officers across the country treat white, suspects and black suspects any different. He says it's the same across the board. I thought that was crazy. A lot of data to support otherwise. He said the Black Lives Matter is a hate group. It's anti-police. I don't see how he can say that. He says that President Obama is a liar when he says that black suspects, citizens are twice as likely to be shot and killed by the police as white people. He said that's just an utter lie. And so, I'm trying to figure out, is it that police officers, generally speaking, just have a blind eye to things? It's like, I heard somebody say this, and I think that is very, it's very relevant. A guy, we don't understand the plight that women go through, just in your everyday life. Cat calls and just people just talking to you crazy. That doesn't happen to us in the same capacity. So when women talk about it, we can't understand it. It just doesn't make sense to us because we haven't seen it. So I'm trying to give some police officers the benefit of the doubt who say things like this, because Sheriff David Clarke is not the only police officer that's in denial about this. And I'm thinking maybe it's because they don't see, but then when you think about it, they do see because they're officers. He walked the beat, he knows, and any guy like this is going to treat, he's one of those type that the black cop, you say the black cop is worse than the white one. He's one of those type that's worse than the white cop. Like, he goes out of his way to just belittle the, just black suspects, citizens, whatever you want to call it. But Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is not a hate group. It is, in its I mean, the definition, it doesn't make sense for it to be a hate group. Now, you have some groups that are hate groups. I mean, you got like the Aryan Brotherhood or, Nazis or the, KKK. But and all of those groups were formed to harm other people. The Black Lives Matter movement started because a black person was killed, and it seemed to a lot of people that the lives did not matter. Now, you have a lot of different discussions, and in a recent interview, Sheriff David Clarke was trying to kind of confuse issues. And so we have many issues. We have issues with the police interacting with U.S. citizens. Now, not just black, but the black citizens, it's really, really high. As of this recording, as we're doing this show right now, 2016, as of today, 613 Americans have been killed by the police. Just this year was just 6 months in. That's not just black people, that's white, black, everything. But I'm just saying, so that's kind of crazy. Now, just in contrast, last year, 2015, over 1,300 people killed by the police. So that's just some statistics there. But what the point that I'm trying to make is that they're trying to paint Black Lives Matter as a hate group. And, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. There was a police car that, mysteriously was on fire, right? Day before yesterday. And they said by the police car, balled up piece of paper that has Black Lives Matter on it that was written in magic marker and said, fuck the police, right? Black people don't do stuff like that. If a black person did burn the car up, they would have just burnt the car up, right? They wouldn't have wrote Black Lives Matter on it. Let's keep in mind, you set a fire, right? You set a fire and you ball up a piece of paper and put it near the car. Really? Come on, that doesn't even make sense. Black people don't move like that. That is a non-black person, more than likely a white person, trying to make it seem like Black Lives Matter, or somebody, and just because somebody wrote Black Lives Matter, if it was a black person, let's pretend for a minute that it was. It wasn't, but let's pretend that it was. If a black person just randomly wrote Black Lives Matter, it could be some, Uncle Tom type like Sheriff David Clarke who wants to, belittle Black Lives Matter and demean the movement and did something like that. Like that, this is how people move. People that's involved with Black Lives Matter are not going to burn a police car and then scribble Black Lives Matter on a piece of paper. Like that doesn't make sense. All of the police that have been killed recently, every one of these, killers have said that they're not involved with the Black Lives Matter movement, but yet and still, the naysayers try to attach Black Lives Matter to these horrendous acts. And I don't think that killing innocent police officers, and there are innocent police officers, I don't think that is the way to go. I don't think that that's what we need to be doing. I think that makes everything more tense than it already is right now. I think that gives some people an excuse to harm us. Now, lastly, I do want to say this: while Black Lives Matter it's like a subgroup of a bigger issue. All lives matter, yes. However, in this particular instance, where the Black Lives Matter focuses on the fact that law enforcement are killing black people, and it seems as though their lives are not important because of the way that the justice system, I'll use the word justice, kind of sweeps it under the rug. If you have a black person that's killed in the hands of law enforcement, there is usually not going to be a conviction the way it stands right now. And so the pain and anger, they say that the Black Lives Matter. Our lives are important. That's not a hate group. That's a love group. Now, are they angry about this? Yes. And that is understandable. Now, by saying Black Lives Matter, that doesn't mean that Spanish lives don't matter. It doesn't mean that white lives don't matter. It doesn't mean that Asian lives don't matter. It's just saying, hey, you, police, Black Lives Matter. Like, it's important. That's what it is. And so you can be something without being against something else. And so I think that whenever, they use words like reverse racism, which makes absolutely no sense. It's just kind of stupid. You can have movements that, that highlight something without taking away from something else. And just because you say that Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean that you hate the police. It's just we're trying to come to a common ground and raising awareness on an issue. Now, with that being said, Black Lives Matter should not only come out when the police kill somebody. I mean, we have, young black males killing other young black males daily, and they should come out at that time as well. And so a lot of police try to, and just people that are against Black Lives Matter try to come out and say, hey, it's more black people killing black people than there are police officers. And while that is true, the bigger issue is that we have to stop all of this, right? It's a lot of senseless violence. And if you want to say that Black Lives Matter needs to put this across the board, that's true. I agree with that. And that part needs to happen. It's just that when it's someone that is supposed to protect and serve, even though the history of the police has not, the relationship with the urban community, the black community, and the police has not always been a good relationship. Things can get a little bit better. So we need to, Black Lives Matter need to come out when it's black on black crime. It needs to matter then. And it also needs to matter when it's a police officer, security guard, wannabe security guard, MTA police, whatever it is. And so that's how I feel about that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm sure that you have some thoughts on this in the comment section, or Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Diamond K Show. New episodes of Diamond K Show drop daily. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode.